interim interdict that bars him from serving on the Judicial Service Commission. I am Wandela Mbana for SFM News headlines at 1:30.
Makoti Down Products is a proudly South African family business, started more than 30 years ago with 12 geese and a piece of material. Makoti manufactures duvets, pillows, sleeping bags and high-quality Egyptian cotton linen. Our down products are suitable for people with dust mite allergies and come with a lifelong guarantee. And we offer a nationwide cleaning service for all your feather and down products. Visit us at makoti.co.za or call us on 041 992 395. For quality down, Makoti Down.
Bahlabani Bantwa and Abafana Bestende are both aware of the uphill towards the wrap-up of the season. They are searching for nothing but a win. Catch the exhilaration of Mzansi's football, Marumo Gallants versus Golden Arrows, on Saturday, 19 April at 2:30 p.m. Live streaming on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then at 3 p.m. on SABC radio stations. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
April is Freedom Month, a month to reflect, celebrate and move forward. SAFM is bringing you powerful stories, insightful debates and voices that shape our nation. Stay tuned to SAFM, where freedom, history and the future meet. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
And I've got studios to voice in, and I've got news for rejoicing. Now a new sun is rising, I count my blessings, that I'm safe when I'm resting. Furniture in my nesting, not by force I'm suggesting. You count your blessings. I've got love and assurance, I've got new health insurance, I've got strength and endurance. So I count my blessings and give thanks to the Master, that through all the disaster, we're still here together after. Better count your blessings.
Count your blessings. Cause yo, this year, can't wait till it gets here. 7/21/09, my first son will shine. And it's amazing, I'm about to be raising another made man. And like his dad, they'll praise him. And some will hate him just cause we building a nation. Like Bob did with Damien, the world will embrace him. Girls will chase him. 4C, they will not break him. And when I'm not around, you look for God and thank him.
I've got somewhere to dress for, and I've got no need to stress for. And so I'll always put my best forth and count my blessings. And there'll be no need for tissues, cause there'll be no further issues. If you've got someone who miss you, man, count your blessings. And I've got love and assurance, and I've got new health insurance, and I've got strength and endurance. So I count my blessings and give thanks to the Master, that through all the disaster, we're still here together after. Better count your blessings.
You wishing you were sitting in the top position, picture perfect, nothing less cause you deserve it. Without the Hermes, you never hurting. You knew that you was destined for greatness for certain. But see the overzealous, they be thirsting, caught up in emotion. You keeping your composure like Gershwin. Songs by Earth Wind, keep you in the zone writing verses. So when your pocket's light, know that you have a heavy purpose.
We've got preschool and daycare, we've got pension and welfare. And though not all will play the game fair, still I count my blessings. I've got joy in abundance, I've got life full of substance, I've got meetings and functions, so I count my blessings. I've got something to live for, I've got surplus to give more, and we're all welcome through his door, so I count my blessings. And give thanks to the Master, that through all the disaster, we're still here together after, so I count my blessings.
Yeah, I think you're looking too hard for it. With a double R under your garage door. Appreciate the things you work hard for. And count your blessings, count your blessings. So don't be mad if you ain't fly, y'all. You got the means to reach the level I'm on. You should know that there's only one
got news for rejoicing. Now a new sun is rising. I count my blessings. That I'm safe when I'm resting. Furniture in my nesting. Not by force I'm suggesting. You count your blessings. I've got love and assurance. I've got new health insurance. I've got strength and endurance. So I count my blessings and give thanks to the Master that through all the disaster we're still here together after. Better count your blessings.
I mean, this particular single we play because it ties in so wonderfully with our first conversation for the day. And we're going to have a conversation about what makes you happy. You know, what makes you happy? By extension, it's part of you counting your blessings, right? Whatever it is that makes you happy, no matter how small and how big it is that it makes you happy. And it could literally be anything that brings joy, that sparks joy in your life. What is it? What is it that makes you happy? And so we thought we'd put you in a happy mood with a song that spoke to exactly that. Count Your Blessings by Damian Marley and Nostradamus coming together. This particular record actually came as one of the singles, if not the leading single, for their collaborative project, which was it was called Distant Relatives. Remember, they came together and released Distant Relatives in 2010. And it was just a beautiful collaboration, a well-created body of work that was made of a little bit of hip-hop and a little bit of reggae fusion. And it was a 13-part full album where the two gentlemen mirrored and spoke to each other's experiences and each other's musicality. And it actually had some really good records. It had some really good songs that came out of it. If memory serves correct, it became the 10th offering in Nas's catalog for Def Jam Records, and it was Marley's 4th album for Def Jam, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful record. If you haven't downloaded the album as yet, it's probably one of those albums that you need to have in your archives. Count your blessings. A beautiful day for us to count our blessings today. And like I said, that is our first conversation. We're going to be catching up with Professor Talita Graylin, who specializes in well-being economics and the quality of life studies at the University of Johannesburg. And we're going to be asking, what makes you happy? What makes you happy? Do you just decide? Do you wake up in the morning and decide that this morning I'm going to be happy regardless of what happens, regardless of what comes in my way, regardless of John at work who irritates me? I'm going to be happy this morning. And how do you stay? How do you stay in that state of bliss? You know, how do you stay in that state of bliss? There's some people who've mastered the art of happiness, and some of us who are still trying to get there. So that is our family meeting today, and we kick off with it. We'd love to have your input on our WhatsApp line. You can send us a voice note on 061 410 4107. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on. Love to know what makes you happy. Money. Yeah. Money makes me happy. We had this conversation with my team last week. We asked each other what makes you happy. One of my producers was just randomly asking some of our SABC colleagues as we bumped into them in the corridors, what makes you happy? And I think 8 out of 10 people said money. Money makes me happy. Stages, pages, screens, and more is also coming up in this first hour of the show. And then I'll let you know what's coming up after 2 o'clock, closer to that time. It's just gone 1:15 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM, leading the conversations that move the nation and starting on a lighter note today. Our WhatsApp, 061 410 4107. Would love to know, what is it that makes you personally happy?
What is your money doing right now? Is it lazing around in that other account because you're not sure where to move it for premium growth? Well, let's make it work hard in a Standard Bank Money Market Select investment account, where we'll grow it with a nominal interest of up to 7.9% on a minimum deposit of 100,000 Rand. Plus, you get access to your funds anytime. Open yours online or on our app today. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Pressure keeps mounting, and the thirst for maximum points has drastically increased. FC Union Berlin and VfB Stuttgart are in a tense battle for victory. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Do not miss out on FC Union Berlin versus VfB Stuttgart on Saturday, 19 April at 6:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Spanish Princess series continues the story of Queen Catherine and Henry VIII. Catherine's struggle to produce an heir places her marriage and position in the court at risk, and she's haunted by her choices from the past. Despite proving herself a politician, a diplomat, and a national inspiration, and even a military commander, Catherine must battle to save her love with the king and to preserve the peace and prosperity of their reign. The Spanish Princess Season 2 airs Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
When using the road this Easter holiday, take extra caution when using dangerous roads. Please note that these are some of South Africa's high-risk roads. R61 Mbizana in Eastern Cape, N1 Mkopane in Limpopo, N4 Vosman in Mpumalanga, N4 Nelspruit in Mpumalanga. You can help to reduce road crashes and save lives. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, we are catching up with Professor Talita Khreiling, who specializes in well-being economics and the quality of life studies at the University of Johannesburg. And our conversation today is what makes you happy? You know, do you wake up and decide on your happiness? Or how do you even define what happiness is to you and for you? Or do you wait for society for some degree to actually tell you what happiness is? That is our conversation today on the show. And you can send us a voice note on 061-410-4107 because I would love to know what makes you happy. Prof, good afternoon to you. How are you doing?
I am happy, and how are you?
I'm happy today. I actually am happy today. And I think the song put me in a happier mood. Are you one of those people who make the decision to be happy? Because we hear a lot of people saying, you've got to decide to be happy.
That is true. And it is something you have to decide in your mind that a positive emotion will make you positive about many things and will make you more healthy, more productive, easier to learn. So it's a decision you need to take.
Do you think that, a lot of us, considering that you're saying it's a decision that you have to take, personally, I'm not going to lie, I find it difficult at times. You know, when you're in the thick of things, it's difficult to turn the page and say, I'm actually going to decide to turn this day around now and put a positive note to it and be happy regardless of what's unfolding around me.
Oh, that's very true. But we're human. So even if I say we have to be positive and happy the whole time, I'm one of those people that don't manage it. So it's something we try to move to. And whenever I'm so upset and angry because you're human, then I think, think of Barbara Fredrickson. She has a theory that says, growing is all in positive emotions. And I try to breathe and then think positive emotions. It's much better for you than negative. But we are human. We've got both of those.
Absolutely. Is our happiness and joy somehow connected to something far greater, like a sense of maybe contentment in life? Is there something that we can anchor it to versus the material?
Well, if we think of I've been working a lot on Africa and the way that Africa is happy, the positive emotion, which is that joy, happiness, laughter. And I want to say that is very connected to our way of life, which is social capital rich, good social relationships, which also built into generosity, benevolence. And so for Africa, it's got a special type of happiness, which we don't find in other continents. In your developed countries, they always say Finland is the happiest. No, Finland is not the happiest. You haven't seen countries in Africa.
Really?
Finland might have a high quality of life. They're not happy.
Now, that's interesting that you say that through your work, Africa's got perhaps a different quality or different relationship to happiness. I mean, let's hone in a little bit about that. What have you unearthed, some of the insights of the work that you've done on the continent that differentiates our happiness, or what is the foundation of our happiness from other sort of, because one would think first world countries should be happier.
Well, it is really interesting. And there's now, at the moment, we are driving research into this. Because happy, the positive emotion that people feel, and then we've got life satisfaction, which is a question that they ask, how satisfied are you with your life in general? Now, normally those two questions, if you have to score from 0 to 10, then on both of these, the answers will be quite closely related in your developed world. But in Africa, there's quite a big gap. So if you ask people in Africa, how satisfied are you with your life in general, which is an opinion on your quality of life, it might be between 5 and 6. If you ask them, did you laugh yesterday? Did you do something interesting yesterday? Did you experience joy yesterday? That same answer will be between 7 and 8. So that positive emotion in Africa is much higher relative to our quality of life. There's a big gap. And you don't find that in developed countries. So diverse countries want to know, how does Africa manage this? Well, how can they still have this positive joy in life, although the quality of life is not that high? And we are busy researching it, but I think there's a lot of that in the cultural concept, the approach of the African concept, which is Ubuntu, caring about one another, being generous to other people, helping people in distress. And you can see that that is something mentioned by many tourists, how friendly are people. People in South Africa is so friendly, always willing to help. So I think a lot of it is captured in that cultural, and then also in spirituality. I'm not saying religion, but spirituality. It gives us resilience, which you often don't find in other continents.
You know, Doc, when you say that in general, Africans are happier regardless of the quality of life, I'm thinking about a conversation that really I think has shifted some perspective in me. And it was a conversation between Trevor Noah and his best friend, author Kaya Langa, that happened recently on Trevor's podcast. And it was a similar observation where Kaya was saying that, have you seen how South Africans see people, Africans in general, but obviously speaking as a South African, how we see each other, as human, and we see each other's humanity. And the simple story he told was, in traveling in other countries, observing how people treat the homeless, where they if you go to the East, they could treat them like lepers. If you go to the West, it's like, oh, you disgusting, stay away from me, you dirty person. But in Africa, there's this exchange of I see you, you see me. And the story he shares is one of, standing at the robots, Trevor in a fancy German mobile, and a homeless person asking him for money. And on that day, he had no cash. And he said to the homeless person, I don't have money on me today, bra askis. And the homeless gent at the robots looked at his car and he said, yeah, I can see you've got a lot of problems, eh? Driving this big car, you must have a lot of problems. But hey, listen, I hope your day gets better. And he was like, we had this whole banter of exchange where suddenly the homeless person was the one cracking jokes and making me feel better. And I think it speaks to, as you say, the culture and the resilience of our people at times, and recognizing that and always trying to look at the lighter side. So we find the happiness regardless of our circumstance and situation.
But it definitely that resilience and the sense of humor of South Africans. I mean, if we think about load shedding and we think of water that we don't have. Now, load shedding we had now for a time that some of the areas really had, not load shedding, but was without electricity for 2 weeks. Now, they stopped joking about that. But let's see, a week or two later, after that electricity was restored, the power restored, they will start cracking jokes about it. So I think the way that we handle problems is really in a sense of humor. And I always find it how resilient South Africans are specifically. We can have potholes and you will still see, because we measure the positive emotion, happiness in real time. And we can see when something happens and affects the happiness and it decreases. But within 2 or 3 days, the happiness has picked up again. So people have somehow worked through it, found some way to cope with it, and that positive emotions is going strong again. Interesting also, South Africa's effect, the positive emotion, happiness, is higher than most developed countries. That includes the USA, the UK. So our positive emotions is higher than theirs. Sure. And then you sometimes ask why? How can this be? But I really think if you think about South Africans that got that resilience, in general, they're friendly people. How often are we rated as the friendliest nation to travel to? So there is something special about South Africans.
Absolutely. We are in conversation with Professor Talita Hreiling, who specializes in well-being economics and quality of life studies at the University of Johannesburg. It is a real thing, measuring our positive emotions and happiness. And in fact, South Africa slipped from 83 to 95th place in the World Happiness Report. And number one is Finland. They are apparently the happiest people in the world. And I wonder what it is that they are getting correct. We'd love to know from you, how happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And what makes you happy? 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on in studio. My producers are standing by to give you a call back. And 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line if you want to send through a WhatsApp voice note and let us know what makes you happy. I said when I was asked this question, like I said, just last week, what sparked this conversation was one of my producers randomly, as we were walking out of the studio post-show, just asked the question out of the blue, what makes you happy? And instinctively, I said money. And one of my other producing team challenged me, and she goes, money is the default position for everybody. Everybody says money. Money will make them happy. But dig a little bit deeper. There must be something else beyond money that makes you happy. And of course, it started this conversation. And I was like, well, money gives me options. Money buys me the freedom to be able to do the things that makes me happy. It allows me the time and the space to really just expand myself in ways that are non-restrictive. So money makes me happy. She challenged that to the core. So our WhatsApp lines are open for you to send us a voice note on 061 410 4107. How happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And what is it that makes you happy? It's just gone 1:30.
Thank you, Bridget. On the news headlines on SAFM, I am Ondelambana, and a very good day. Deputy Minister of Home Affairs Njabulo Mzuza says action will be taken against companies that hire undocumented foreign nationals. And the Constitutional Court has dismissed with cost the Umkondo Wesizwe political party and Dr. John Hlophe's bid to appeal the interim interdict that bars him from serving on the Judicial Service Commission. And tributes are pouring in for veteran actor Don Mlange Ninawa. His death was confirmed by his family in a statement released earlier today. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, we are talking happiness. What makes you happy? Would love to know from you. 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. 086 000 2032. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you, or what makes you happy? Are you one of those people who wakes up and decides to be happy regardless? Or you keep a state of positivity, as you've heard Prof. Talita say, that it really is about being positive. You may not be able to be happy all the time, but for as long as you are in a state of positivity. Let's go to WhatsApp.
Good afternoon, Bridget. Thanks for the good show. My name is William. Yeah, what makes me happy is good health and peace of mind. Thank you.
Hi, Bridget. What makes me happy is my family. When they are happy, I am happy.
Hey, Bridget. What makes me happy is my daughters. All three of them. I'm always no matter how down I feel, they always lift me. One of them wrote me a poem yesterday saying, in all the Marvel characters, I'm Hulk, because she feels I'm so strong for all of them. And yeah, so she just believes I'm always happy for them.
Aww.
And I never shout at them. But yeah, they bring me the most joy and make me so happy.
Good afternoon, Bridget and the Full Circle listeners. So interesting question, because I think it pushes one to be intentional and be aware. Self-awareness, I think, is quite an important thing, because I think often we tend to say money or want to attribute having money to happiness. Sure, you won't be as stressed when you have money, because you have the resource, the tool to purchase, to pay for anything, for convenience, and just luxury and all of that. However, for me, outside of money, I would say being at home in my bed, whether I'm reading or just lying in bed or watching something on my laptop, brings a sense of contentment, in that moment. It really does make me so much happy. And I would say music. I love music. Music has the power to heal, the power to just make you feel good. So those two, being in my bed and music.
So interesting. You see, that is somebody, Prof, I think, that has thought quite intentionally about what is happiness for them, right? In fact, a lot of our the voice notes that we've heard, the one caller, I love it, saying that his daughters, because no matter what, his daughters make him happy, and they refer to him as the Hulk. Family also being mentioned there, good health and a peace of mind. But I love the intentionality of that last voice note to say, well, let me dig even deeper beyond the the worldly, of the things like money. Simple things like just sleep can make a person happy. Prof?
I can.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Well, because we researched this, I will go on numbers and figures where this has been actually proven. And interesting, we listened to 4 voice notes. 2 out of that 4 said social relationships. My family, my daughter makes me happy. And that is really similar to what we find when we do big data set analysis and we try to see what makes people happy. And interesting that a third of that happiness can be explained by money. But also a third of that can be explained by your social relationships. Sometimes, depending on the level of development, because obviously money is important up to a certain level. But after that, it doesn't really contribute to happiness. So, for example, in the USA, you will see that after a certain point, there is no increase in happiness when money increases. And I lectured last night, and I asked my students, do you think Elon Musk is happy? And their immediate answer was no. So it shows you that money is not everything. Money is nice to have the comforts, but after a certain point, there's other things that counts more. And a very big portion of that is your social relationships.
Yeah.
How does your family feel? How does your wife feel? So that plays a very important role. And then the other person said health. Health is very important as well. And especially if we think of elderly, health becomes a major concern. And they would say, I will give all my money if I could just be healthy again.
So true. So true. Social relationships being front and center there. I once asked my partner this, what makes you happy? And I thought, he's going to say, the conquest of the business deal and chasing all these things you think about that you think might drive a man, and he also echoed what one of our callers said. He was like, sleeping, resting makes me so incredibly happy. I could not debate it because this man sleeps until 10 o'clock in the morning, given any chance.
I also think, the comfort of your own place, your own family, you can just be who you want to be. And that is also the privilege, the contentment that we get, that you don't have to face up to the world and imagine or seem as if you, when we are women in the workplace, the tough woman, but at home you can just be who you are.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. It's a comfort.
Absolutely. Are we able to go to Romeo in Poch? Romeo, how are you?
I'm good, and how are you doing?
I mean, you sound already happy.
Great. Look, I made a decision a long time ago to make happiness, part of my life. I wake up happy, and I've realized that somehow this happiness is contagious. Because my family is happy. My daughter takes from me. She's a happy soul at school.
Yeah.
So happiness is my portion.
Okay. So I mean, how do you consistently loop that in your brain, Romeo, just to make sure that you're intentional about it? Like, what's your techniques? What's your hacks?
Look, I know obviously that in the world or in the country that we're living in, we will have oppositions of life. We will have oppositions of life. So I immediately fix my mind to make sure that I counter that with happiness. I wake up in the morning. If I decide I'm the one now making breakfast, even if I'm making the meanest breakfast or the bad breakfast ever, I will do it just to keep myself happy and to keep my family happy. So I'm a happy soul. But I wanted to ask a question as well. Joy, happiness, and contentment. What is the difference?
Joy, happiness, and contentment. What is the difference? Awesome, yeah. Romeo. Thank you so much. Romeo, I want you back after 2 o'clock because we want to know who cooks the meals in your home. So after 2 o'clock, you and I are going to touch base again.
Definitely.
Awesome. Prof. Talita, joy, happiness, and contentment. Is there a difference?
I would say there is, because if we look at the definitions we have, life satisfaction, which is where you evaluate the quality of your life, and there we can be contented with our lives. So, and I think that is what we refer to. If you say Finland is the happiest country in the world, that happiness doesn't mean emotional happiness. It doesn't mean joy. It means they are contented with their lives, what they have. So with the educational level, with their health, and the income they earn, that's contentment. But emotional happiness is the joy we experience. It's that positive emotion that you find in laughter, in joy, being happy, in love. It's a different concept than being content. And if we have to, if you hear in the news those things that say the happiest country in the world is Finland, and then it's Sweden and Iceland, those are being content with the quality of life. They are satisfied with the quality of life that they have, contentment. They are not happy. I wish I can say that again and again. And there are rankings that show that their happiness level, as I say, this emotion, this joy, is lower than that of South Africa. They don't have that emotional joy. It's the difference between striving and thriving. Strive is something you have to do. Thrive is that positive emotion that goes with that. And that is what South Africans have.
Absolutely. Prof. Talita, my apologies, Prof. Talita Khreiling, thank you so much for the time today and for bringing a little sparkle to our conversations. And Prof she specializes in well-being economics and quality of life studies at the University of Johannesburg. It's 2 o'clock. If we didn't get around to some of your voice notes, we'll bank them and find some time to sneak them in a little bit later. Let's take a quick pause.
Toffees want to convert pressure to pleasure by claiming maximum points against the reigning champions.
To put Everton level, he certainly does. No mistake. Beautifully done by Iliman Andai.
But the citizens are not interested in any outcome but victory.
And there's Grealish, and inside 2 minutes, City are in front. And Jack Grealish, his first Premier League.
This is the Premier League. Witness the mouth-watering clash between Everton FC and Manchester City FC on Saturday, 19 April at 3:30 p.m. live on S3. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
Give us some context what actually happened firstly.
Ashraf, the payments that were made in the month of March to the TVET college students were amounting to 10,800, which was designated for accommodation. All in all, the students received 13,800. Now, this 10,800 is the amount that students are supposed to release to accommodation providers.
To Ishmael Nisiri, NSFA's spokesperson.
The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Missed it? Find the podcast at safm.co.za. Stages, pages, screens, and more on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
Not my producer saying to me I must lean on the syllables for our next conversation. So here goes nothing. We in conversation with Thomas Masinga, who's a multidisciplinary visual artist and freelance curator. And we're talking this group exhibition that's curated by Thomas, titled Monna Kingu Ulela Ting. Almost had it right. Almost had it right. A man is a sheep. He cries silently. How are you doing, Thomas?
Good, and you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. Firstly, let's unpack this idiom because it's of Sepedi origin, right?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Unpack it for me.
Okay, so basically, the idiom "Monna Kingu Lala Daying" speaks about the silence that we carry as men. We don't express our emotions. We always bottle things up, and there's a need for us to always act tough, even though there's a sense of vulnerability that always comes through, or fragility. You see, so but the title of the exhibition does not include the Olaladring part. It just says Monna Kingu to diversify the conversation so that people can come in with different perspectives. So, yeah, because the conversation about men isn't just about men, but it's about other people around the men, you see. because we bottle up and it affects the people around us, not just us.
Absolutely. I mean, I love this idiom because I think in its essence, it also explores just the complexities, as you said, the complexities of masculinity, vulnerability, but also just the social construct and dynamics of the environment within and around men. And talk to me about, sort of how that becomes expressed through the work of some of the artists that are involved in this group exhibition.
Okay, so it's quite fascinating because the artists, before the actual exhibition, I had conversations with them, and these conversations kept, expanding the narrative. You find people expressing it through ballet. Some are speaking about loss or grief, and some are just talking about vulnerability and the responsibilities that come with being a man, like being a provider, and those kind of things. They come in, and also there's some element of mythology that is attached to the works of some other artists. Yeah, so it was quite a dynamic approach to the whole theme, which I enjoyed a lot.
I think it's been a while since one has encountered an exhibition title that holds so much weight and so much thought to it, because, as you say, the exhibition just took the first part of the idiom munnagingu, and that in itself, right, becomes quite the metaphor to be focused on, because there's so much to saying a man is a sheep or man is sheep.
Yeah. Okay, so it's quite fascinating when you take it from different concepts. When you translate it to English, for instance, it has different connotations, you see, because there are idioms that speak about the sheep in English, but they have different meanings. For instance, the Lord is my shepherd as a proverb that is popular, or it has different connotations. It speaks about men or people needing a guide to take them to a certain place, you see. But when it's in Sepedi, it also has other connotations, you see.
Yeah, absolutely. And even from a social perspective, right? From a social perspective, because people would often just talk about the black sheep in the family or the black sheep, and that speaks to a particular kind of character, or perhaps a particular kind of posture that you occupy socially.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, there's an artwork there that tackles that as well in the exhibition. And the concept of the black sheep is also quite fascinating, because still, again, it speaks to either being censored or learning how to be silent, you see, because then you live in your wool or your skin.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
Interested to know who forms part of this group exhibition. I read that Vusi Biokamp, one of my faves, who had quite the health scare for the better part of 2023, 2024, is forming part of this exhibition.
Yeah. So we have Hasela Loate, we have Vusi as well, we have Bongi Bengu, we have an artist called Chevinois, we have another one called Mozart, Naledi Sehupi, Oaheng Mutsitsi, Tupechi Lepoto, Wisani Manyisi, Ritsidisitse Ngekeza, Sango Filita, Rotia Duplessis, Sutlak, Lucian Mudli, Sinemko Simsomi, and Ngomeni Tlongwan, and also myself, also taking part in the exhibition.
Wonderful. By way of the duration of the exhibition, it's open until the 5th of May, so it gives us a nice lengthy time. Where is it being showcased? And of course, in terms of people just tracking the schedule for things like walkabouts and interactions, where can they go?
Okay, so they can go to the viewing room at St. Laurent, which is at 492 Fersen Street by the Brooklyn Circle in Pretoria. Yeah, quite a lovely space, and I encourage people to actually check out the space, the exhibition, and even beyond the duration of the exhibition. And we are going to have a walkabout soon, I think next week, Saturday, actually on the 26th. Yeah, so please do check out the viewing room.
Wonderful. Congratulations on this exhibition, Munaginku. It is a group exhibition by Thomas Masinga, who's a multidisciplinary visual artist himself and a freelance curator. The viewing room is where you can go, and it is out in Brooklyn, in Pretoria. So if you find yourself there, that's where you're at, and it's open until the 5th. If you ever catch a chance to go to a walkabout, I know a lot of people are intimidated by artistic spaces and walking into white cubes of museums and galleries and, not necessarily knowing the jargon and feeling insecure about what kind of questions you should be asking. But, walkabouts are a great way to start learning and opening yourself to the experience of art, because curators and artists are often there and they take questions. And there's never a silly question in the space. So all commentary and questions welcomed indeed. And they tend to happen on Saturdays. So when a curator says it will be Saturday, just earmark the fact that it will be Saturday around 10, 11. We like those hours in the art world. It's just gone 10-2. We're going to take a quick pause and then we come back. And we have another conversation around micro lenders.
At Duvet Tradeport, we specialize in helping businesses grow through state-of-the-art manufacturing, infrastructure, logistics services, and international trade links. We're an advanced environment for doing business where most ambitious companies gather. If you're seeking progressive opportunities and looking to build mutually beneficial relationships, move to duvettradeport.co.za to see your business grow beyond potential.
The Blue Diamonds want to shine all the way from kickoff to the final whistle, while the Rockets plan to rock up with a strong winning mentality. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Experience the exciting battle between JVWFC and TS Galaxy Queens on Sunday 20 April at 2:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Rise and shine every weekday morning on Expresso.
Now, whether it's a motivational Monday or even a Health Tuesday, this is the best way to start your day.
Let our trending tech keep you ahead of the curve.
Join us online and vote in our fashion poll.
Elevate your cooking skills every Wednesday.
It's the best in morning entertainment.
So wake up with us.
6 to 9 a.m. on S3.
Cheers.
Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
Before we get into this conversation about microlenders, I'm actually interested to know from you as to who cooks the meals in your home. I'd be very interested to hear the responses from that. Who cooks the meals in your home? That'd be very interesting. That's a conversation coming up on the other side of 2 o'clock. We're taking things nice and light today as we build up to the weekend. So right now, though, why are microlenders under the regulatory spotlight? And we know that they play a pivotal role for those who traditionally can't get financial assistance from traditional banks. But there's also an exploitative element to microlenders, and we thought we'd catch up with Samir Kumandan, who's the managing director of SearchWorks 360. How are you doing this afternoon, Samir?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm great, thank you. Okay, so we know the role that microlenders play in our communities, and I think particularly for us Black and brown people, we grow up in society and community being very well aware of micro lenders. There are some benefits to this relationship, but there are also some pitfalls and downfalls to it.
Yeah, definitely. So micro lenders help provide small loans to individuals or small businesses who might not have access to traditional financing from banks or do not qualify for financing. So micro lenders obviously play a pivotal role in the informal sector as well, in granting loans and funding to businesses to start their business. But obviously, on the other side of things, there are pitfalls to it, because not all the checks that must be done are often done, or people might not actually qualify for the loans, and the microlenders might not have the ways of checking that they are actually qualified for what they need to give.
By the way, when we talk micro lending, are we differentiating between what is perhaps legal micro lending and what would speak to legal micro lending versus what we commonly colloquially known as loan sharks?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a big difference between legal microlending and loan sharks. So loan sharks are obviously not the legal way to go. So microlenders have to be registered with the National Credit Regulator as credit providers. And they have to conform to the laws of the National Credit Act and all the regulations that the National Credit Regulator puts into place. When loan sharks often operate outside of the law, and they often charge exorbitant interest rates. And that's not what we want to deal with.
Okay, all right. So by way of compliance for micro lenders, what kind of compliance are we looking at here?
Yeah, so there's twofold to compliance at the moment. So firstly, obviously, as a micro lender, you have to conform to the National Credit Regulator and everything that occurs in the National Credit Act. But as you know, in the last few years, there's this big drive in South Africa about FIC after we got grey listed. And micro lenders are also considered accountable institutions in terms of FIC. So they have to verify via KYC and KYB, which is know your client and know your business searches, as to who they're actually dealing with. They need to verify the individuals of a correct person, the proper individual that they're dealing with. They need to make sure that the person that they are dealing with is not associated with any type of sanctions around the world or involved in any money laundering activities, etc. Because what we're finding in the market as well, because it's small amounts of loans, you could have one individual that opens up 10 different companies, goes to a micro lender for 10,000 rand in each of these companies, and then gets access to 100,000 rand that way. So they need to make sure that who they're dealing with is the correct person.
By your experience and professional expertise, are in general the majority of micro lenders actually following through with these compliance checks?
Yes, so the NCR is quite strict on this, where they do the audits, and you have to hand in your compliance reports, etc., on a quarterly basis. So from that aspect, I'm sure there has to be following the law. But on the other side, the FIC Act, which is now, it's not new act, but it's been forced into implementation rather quickly. I think on that side, you might still find a little bit of, how can I say, lackluster efforts in trying to comply, because there's a lot that needs to happen before you can deal with a person.
And just quickly, digital micro lending is also a thing. It's a big thing. How do we ensure compliance there? How do we ensure regulatory adherence when it comes to digital platforms?
Yeah, so microlending often utilizes technology because it's the quickest way to have direct interaction with a consumer. But for me, it is access to data. So we have access to loads of data at SearchWorks itself. And for us, we can integrate data into platforms which will allow microlenders to verify the person that they were dealing with within a couple of seconds. Even get back a copy of an ID photo as an example to make sure the person they are dealing with is correct and the ID booklet or cards they have in front of it is the proper ID book or card for that person. And that can take a couple of seconds. And that way they will be compliant with all the checks that they need to do. With that data, we couple up with the different sanction lists globally, the money laundering list globally. So all that data, we type in an ID number as an example on the platform, you can get back all the information that you need. So for me, microlenders need to look at ways of integrating data into the systems to make sure that they agree and confirm who the person is that they are dealing with.
Samir Kumandan, thank you for the time. He's the MD of SearchWorks 360, walking us through some of the micro lenders compliance there. And of course, it's fast approaching the top of the hour. On the other side of 2 o'clock, the burning question is, who cooks in your home? Who cooks endlini? That is the burning question of the day. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories at 2 Home Affairs and Labour Department raid factories in KZN, and tributes pour in for veteran actor Don Mlangeni Nawa. For SAFM News, I am Ondelambana, and a very good day. Deputy Minister of Home Affairs Njabulo Nzuza says action will be taken against companies that hire undocumented foreign nationals. Nzuza, together with the Deputy Minister of Labour, Joe Mosibia, and law enforcement authorities, raided factories at Kwasitebe Industrial Precinct in Mandeni on KwaZulu-Natal's north coast. Authorities have been receiving complaints about some companies at the industrial site that were not complying with labour and immigration regulations. Nzuza elaborates.
We've already found more than around 400 people in this factory alone, because as we're here in this factory, there are others, officials who are in the other factories where we're also affecting the necessary arrests. There's going to be consequences both for the owners for employing illegal people, and also for those who are illegal. They will then have to go through a legal process for them to go back home. The issue here is that we are not going to sit back and watch as people break the law. South Africa is a country because it has a constitution.
The Constitutional Court has dismissed with costs the Umkhonto weSizwe political party and Dr. John Hlophe's bid to appeal the interim interdict that bars him from serving on the Judicial Service Commission. The court, in an order dated 15 April, refused the application for leave to appeal as no case has been made out for a direct appeal. Kenny Mapanga reports.
The Western Cape High Court barred Hlophe from sitting in the JSC in September last year, pending the main bid to challenge his suitability to serve on the body which appoints and disciplines judicial officers. The court has since heard main arguments on the suitability of Hlophe, who has been removed from judicial office, to sit on this body, and judgment remains reserved. Meanwhile, Hlophe is the current leader of the official opposition, the MK Party, in the National Assembly. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Tributes are pouring in for veteran actor Don Mlangeni Nawa. His death was confirmed by his family in a statement released earlier today. Nawa was a familiar face on South African television. He was best known for his iconic roles as Zeb Matabane on the SABC3 soapie Isidingo Laqhasha in the classic SABC1 sitcom Scooty's Nice, and Zakhe Mhlongo in the 1980s drama series Ihlala Kwabafileyo. Phumzile Mlangeni reports.
The South African government has joined the nation in mourning the passing of the 65-year-old actor, paying tribute to his illustrious television career. It has reflected on his legacy through roles in Scooty's Nice, Isidingo, and many others. On social media platform X, ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula said Mlangeni Nawa would be remembered for the roles that not only entertained but told the real-life stories of ordinary South Africans. While on Instagram, fellow actor Masasa Mbangeni described him as the funniest man with a heart of solid gold and praised him for making the industry a better place. Phumzile Mlangeni, SABC News.
About 500 people have been displaced following a fire at the Nkanini informal settlement in Lwandle Strand. Gift of the Giver spokesperson Ellie Sabley says firefighters struggled for hours to contain the blaze in strong winds. He says residents were not able to save their belongings.
Our teams provided immediate assistance last night in terms of hot meals and clean drinking water. Today, our teams will be extending further humanitarian distribution in terms of blankets, mattresses, personal hygiene care item packs, baby care packs. Our teams will be on the ground for the next 5 to 7 days to see to the needs of the fire victims.
China has admitted that President Trump's tariffs will put pressure on its economy, but says its long-term outlook is strong. Beijing recorded higher than expected growth in the first quarter of the year, more than 5%, but the numbers are for a period before the most severe U.S. tariffs came into effect. Sheng Leng is from China's National Bureau of Statistics.
In the short term, the imposition of high tariffs by the United States will put certain pressures on our country's foreign trade and economy, but it will not change the general trend that China's economy will continue to improve in the long run.
Recapping the top story, Deputy Minister of Home Affairs Jabulo Nzuza says action will be taken against companies that hire undocumented foreign nationals. I am on Delambana for SFM News headlines at 2:30.
Can you hear that? It's the pitter-patter, letting you know your roof is leaking. Terrible timing. The sound you were hoping for is the splish-splash of the beach holiday you've been saving up for. But don't let cash flow hold you back. Do both. Apply for a Nedbank personal loan and get our best interest rate with a loan of up to 400,000 Rand. Apply online at nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Football intelligence will be tested between the students, University of Johannesburg and Tshwane University of Technology. They are both eager to go an extra mile for victory. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Witness the Varsity Derby, UJ Ladies versus TUT Ladies on Sunday 20 April at 11:30 a.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Brenda Mtambo coming through with Temba Njalo, Hlale Tembeni. A wonderful song there by Brenda Mtambo. We've had some wonderful conversations with her. A mental advocate, good mental health advocate she is, after having shared some of her own personal struggles with mental health. Hlale Tembeni is the song, Temba Njalo. It's just gone 10 past 2 o'clock. And the burning question: who cooks the meals in your home? Who cooks the meals in your home? Do you share the responsibility? Or do you simply expect that one partner, let's just say, do you expect that your wife or your girlfriend will be the one who prepares all the meals at home? Who cooks the meals at home? It's interesting, this conversation, and we are catching up with the curator of Inside Out Conversations, Anele Machisi, joins us now. How are you doing, Anele?
I'm doing well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm awesome. You know what I love the most is that you're a guy. Is that you're a guy, and we're going to be having this conversation with you because, I mean, it's 2025, and former President Thabo Mbeki spoke of the Renaissance man, and I think part of being a Renaissance man is also getting a good handle on the kitchen. I mean, would you not agree?
I would agree. I mean, I was brought up in a home where my mother would say, if you have a stomach, then it means you need to learn to have the means to feed that stomach. You need to know how to feed that stomach, and whether you're a man or woman. So, and so I fully agree with you on that.
Absolutely, and I mean, and it's a light way to have a conversation that really tackles, the gender roles in relationships, right? And ask the question: who sets the tone and the roles in your relationship and in your household?
No, I fully agree with you. I think in my understanding of roles in relationships, especially in our day and age, where a lot of what we consider to be traditional seems to be shifting and changing on a daily basis, what I've come to understand as best practice when it comes to roles is first learning that roles in relationships are a byproduct of agreeing on a destination. So that's the first thing we need to get out of the way as a couple, where we're going. And because once the destination is clear, the roles become much, much easier to define.
Oh, I like that.
So that's that, because the destination is the end in mind, and then we go back. Now after we've agreed on the end, we come back to today. What do we have? What do we not have? Where are we? In other words, what capacity do we have as individuals? So when we come together, then the roles become much, much clearer, purely based on the destination, not an individual in the relationship.
I love that so much. The roles in a relationship are a byproduct of the destination.
Correct.
I absolutely love that because, like you say, it speaks to us sitting in conversation to literally chart and unpack what is the purpose of our union and what all parties bring to the table. But more than that, even, how do we then, you bringing whatever skills you bring to the table, how do we then build on even newer skills to take us to where we're going? Because you can come in as a man not being proficient in a kitchen, not being able to cook, but your determination to be more than just a provider of roof and, necessities. If your determination is that I also want to be a good dad, I also want to be a good partner, I want the ability to step in for my children when you are in absentia for whatever reason, you must then be able to scramble an egg.
Yeah, that is true, and that is true. Often we take a knock. We knock the traditional roles in relationships, that the roles that we saw our parents playing, or the roles that were handed down to us, a lot of the times. And one of the things that I've had to personally do as a man in my own personal growth and development, have a look at is I had to try and understand what is tradition. And in the simplest sense is that tradition simply means a set of trade practices that were passed down from one generation to another. So in other words, those trade practices that our parents exercised in their relationships made sense for their time where they were. But now they passed those trade practices to us, hoping that they would make sense to us. So the duty that we now have, both men and women, is to look at the things that we inherited from our parents, and then see what will work, what is most relevant for us in our times. And that is to the point that you're making, that inherently men were not involved in homework. You know, like it's mom's job. But now what happens is mom is terrible with math. Kids are failing because mom is helping them with homework, and you're there sitting, you're great with mathematics and all other things. So practically, we now have to look at, okay, how do we redefine tradition? So how do we redefine the trade for us today as this couple sitting across the table? So what are the tools that we're going to be using? And that's the first thing. The second thing is that from an egalitarian perspective, where all things are equal, one of the things that I'm learning in terms of relationships, one of the things that I'm learning is that men and women tend to view relationship fairness completely different. So, and that sometimes goes missing, and this comes up when people are talking about relationship communication. And then you realize, oh, we are not seeing the same thing. We're talking about the same thing, but we're seeing it from completely different ends. I'll make an example. Men tend to view relationship fairness through the lens of equity. Women tend to view it, on the other hand, women tend to view it through the lens of equality. And equity in this context simply means that the partner with the most means and capacity carries the most weight in that particular point in the relationship. I'll make an example. So in other words, you're the leader of that particular space. We follow your lead because you're the one with the capacity. So I'll make an example to the example that we're making earlier. If, let's say, the lady is the one with the most capacity or the know-how when it comes to the cooking, I'm just making an example about that. She becomes the leader of that space, but we follow your lead. It doesn't mean she does the work. She's the one who delegates. She's the one who'll be like, okay, I think it makes sense for us to buy X, Y, and Z. And because she's the lead, we follow that lead.
Yeah.
And that is not set in stone. So that those roles change as time goes on because we view it through that sense. However, with women, it tends to be, and I'm also open to correction on this. With our sisters, it tends to be everything has to be equal, so that fairness equals equality. You know, everybody, and practically through the eyes of a man, through a man's mind, it does not work like that. And so, in a healthy relationship is a an ongoing process of finding the balance between what is equal and what is equity in the space. In other words, if instinctually it's in my nature to think about the physical security in the relationship, automatically I take the lead in that, but I am not the only voice in that because we make decisions together, but there is a leader. All contributions are valued, and individuality is not sacrificed at the altar of compliance.
Ooh, hallelujah. It's just gone 20 past 2 o'clock. We're going to take a quick pause here, and then we'll come back and continue our conversations. Our lines are open for you. If you want to be a part of it, it's 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. You can send through a WhatsApp voice note, or you can give us a call in studio on 086-000-2032. My team is standing by to return that call. Who cooks the meals in your home, or do you share the responsibilities? And have you maybe, in the context of this conversation, have you redefined some of the gender role responsibilities in your household as well to better suit your strengths as a couple in relationship? That could be the other aspect of how we understand this, because maybe you've come together and then you've realized that actually me as the man, I'm better suited to take up this role and these responsibilities that were traditionally seen as the wife's responsibilities in the household. It's just gone 20 past 2 o'clock. Let's take a quick pause.
Pressure keeps mounting and the thirst for maximum points has drastically increased. FC Union Berlin and VfB Stuttgart are in a tense battle for victory. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Do not miss out on FC Union Berlin versus VfB Stuttgart on Saturday, 19 April at 6:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
It's the catch of the season as our 3 madcap fishing fanatics are back, embarking on even a more exciting adventures across the globe. Get ready for bigger fish, bigger laughs, and more extreme destinations in a series packed with adrenaline-fueled fishing antics and plenty of friendly rivalry. Fishing Impossible Season 2, Fridays at 10 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
When using the road this Easter holiday, please note that these are some of South Africa's high-risk roads. Ventertop Road in Northwest, R61 Tata in Eastern Cape, N2 Pongola in KwaZulu-Natal, R61 Mzamba in Eastern Cape, N2 Umkomas in Eastern Cape. Ensure that you, your loved ones, and all passengers arrive alive. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
All right, give us the context. What actually happened?
So what the lady actually did was to submit the same claim twice in Motherwell, indicating that she was involved in a car accident, and then, also submitted the same claim, indicating that she was a pedestrian and that she was hit by a car. And it was picked up when she submitted for the second time that this was the same person. And it was found out when she indicated in her claim that she couldn't work, and so claimed, monies that she would have lost.
But good news in terms of an actual conviction as well. Macintosh Polela, spokesperson for the Road Accident Fund.
The National Pulse, 3 to 6 p.m. Missed it? Find the podcast at safm.co.za. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, we are back and we are in conversation with Anele Mashitsi, who's the creator of Inside Out Conversations. And we've gone into this conversation asking the question, who cooks the meals in your home? Or do you share the responsibility or simply expect your partner to prepare all the meals? But, it's more than just a conversation about cooking. Obviously, it's a conversation that is examining the roles in relation. Who sets the tone and the roles in your relationship. And I love what Annalise said about roles in a relationship are a byproduct of the destination. So once we envision and are clear on what the destination is for us coming together, it becomes better for us to then disseminate who occupies what role, who has strength in what arena, and how do we define what equality is in the context of this household. And we'd love to hear your way in on this. Rich, how are you doing?
Bridget, I hope you're well as well.
I'm great, thank you.
Yes, I didn't hear much of what Anele had to say, just glimpses here and there, but also on the point that it's not about cooking only, but just on the cooking part.
Yes.
There's in my household, there's no debate, no confusion, no competition, everything. The wife cooks.
I thought you were going to say you cook, Rich.
No. I cook. When I cook is by choice, as well as there are some meals that she likes cooked by me.
Yes.
So I cook those, and also out of necessity.
Oh.
Then I cook.
Okay.
Then I cook. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because Anela was saying, the power dynamics or the roles in a relationship, men will perceive based on equity, females based on equality. But he was saying that really what that translates to is because your wife is the leader, is the more strong one in terms of cooking. And that department,
we like
she
the
takes
strong one, yeah,
she
yeah.
takes the lead in that, but is open to suggestion, is open to involvement from you and other people. Would you say it's the same? She cooks because she is the leader in that, and so she prefers it that way, not because it is a must because she's female.
Yes and no. It's to her. It's not a must.
Okay.
She realizes the fair road, right?
Yeah.
Even if it was put to debate, she'll still have to cook. So yeah. So in her, she accepts. You know, I accept the things I accept. She accepts. You see,
No, I get
come
what
as a husband.
I get what
She
you're
comes as the
saying,
wife.
Rich. I
Yes,
get what you're
yes.
saying. Rich, you better make sure, Uti, as the man, you are going and building that factory so that she can cook without worrying about, everything else. Thank you so much for your
No,
contribution.
it's not competition. Everything is free spirit, open mind, everything. But there's no competition.
I hear you.
Thanks.
Let's
Bye,
go to
bye.
WhatsApp and hear your thoughts on WhatsApp as well.
Good afternoon. How's Bridget? Is for the trucker here in Free State coming from Western Cape heading to Gauteng. How's Bridget? I'm there in the kitchen chopping the onion. I'm there changing the diapers. I was there. There's no two ways about it, how's Bridget. It's a good time to bond, with your kids, helping in the kitchen, washing the dishes, chopping that onion, how's Bridget, changing that diaper, how's Bridget. There's no question about it.
I love this really.
Hi, Bridget. SK, yeah? Who cooks the meal at home? Well, I'm part of the cookers. I like to eat what I prepare. So most of the time I do the cooking, especially over the weekends. But I do let other people, my daughters and my wife, to cook. But most of the time I really get involved in terms of what is being cooked, because I don't know, I enjoy that part. If I'm sitting around the house, just look around and see what can be cooked and be creative, in the kitchen.
I love it, SK.
Hi, Bridget. SK, yeah? Who cooks the meal at home?
I love it, SK. I love it for you. I love it for your family. I love it for us. As we wrap it up, Anele, part of this also is understanding, and you alluded to it, that as generations evolve, so to do roles in relationships, in marriage and union. Anele?
Okay, I lost it there a bit.
No, I was saying that as we wrap it up in our last minute,
Yeah.
Part of the conversation that you were alluding to is the fact that we've got to acknowledge that roles are changing as generations change and evolve.
No, definitely, and but even with that evolution, in terms of the change in roles and so forth, two things that I just want to touch on is that when it comes to roles are actually an opportunity to connect. So if we see them as that instead of chores designated to a certain person in the relationship, they're actually an opportunity to connect. So whether we are helping the kids with the homework, or one person is cooking, or whatever it is that we're doing around the house, if we actually do these things together, we find out that we actually bond and we connect even more. That's the first thing. The second thing is that as the roles in relationships change, there are certain things that are constant when it comes to healthy relationship or the functioning of healthy relationships. One of them is that in relationships you earn, save, multiply, spend, and subtract. That's all it is. So together, how do I provide convenience for your time so that for you, if I do this one task in this relationship very well, then you might have more time, you're earning more time, or you're saving more time, or you're multiplying something, your money or whatever. So relationships are about that. And if we were to keep that in mind, no one in relationships will feel like I'm doing more, or they would feel some sense of depletion, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or otherwise in the relationship. So it's about preserving each other.
Thank you so much for your insights today. I thoroughly enjoyed it. That was Anele Mashizi, who is the creator of Inside Out Conversations. It's gone 1:30. Ondela standing by with the headlines.
Thank you, Bridget. On the news headlines, Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane has raised concerns over the controversial U.S. tariffs imposed on South Africa. Trump last week imposed a 30% duty on all goods imported from South Africa. Deputy Minister of Home Affairs Jabulo Nzuza says action will be taken against companies who hire undocumented foreign nationals, and Gauteng residents are urged to remain vigilant this Easter long weekend. That's the message from the Portfolio Committee on Safety in the Gauteng Legislature. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
SABC Education, in partnership with the Department of Health and Dilifala Bantwana, bring you episode 20 of the side-by-side drama season 4, focused on developmental milestones, your toddler, and what to expect.
Say and say, side by side.
Singama Africa, Kenya, you, Tina. Singama Africa, Kenya, you, Tina. Singama Africa, Kenya, you, Tina.
Mom Cindy, what a surprise.
Hi, Lupumzo. Chini, Dumisani. Wow, this boy has grown.
Yes.
How old is he now?
He is turning 2 years and 3 months soon.
So I missed all of his exciting milestones.
Yes, now he can help me carry a box, he pulls and pushes on objects, he can even kick and throw a ball.
Wow, he's a big boy. Mom Cindy is actually very proud of the goals that you have achieved. And you are doing a wonderful job as a mother.
Oh, thank you, Mom Cindy.
Pella, you have come a long way. You are a rebellious teenager.
My aunt still says I'm the same rebellious teenager. But she's at work, yeah. Now, are you here to see her?
No, actually, I came here to see you. I have a favor to ask.
Oh, okay. How can I help?
You know, there's a young girl that I'm struggling with. You might have heard about her. Imange.
Oh, Pamela's daughter.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was wondering, since you've had your own experiences before, although, this situation might be a bit different to yours,
Okay.
I say because it hasn't been proven yet.
What is it that you want me to do, Mom Cindy?
I want you to please meet with Imange first, and then we can see and find out, what the nature of her relationship with her teacher is.
Oh, okay. Imangi, now, what is she like?
I think she is scared and confused. If he is taking advantage of her, then we must be very sensitive about the situation and how we interact with Imange. I mean, at this stage of her life, she's very fragile. So, possibly also in a very dangerous situation.
Oh, no, yes, of course. Oh, you can count on me, Mom Cindy. Don't worry. I'm on it.
Oh, thank you, Lupums.
Yeah, sure. Gloria seems nice.
Ah, yeah. Man, hey, you should see her friend. Hey, I can't wait for this weekend. So, what's your plan with Gloria?
Huh? Oh, no plan, really.
Hey, man, Kaz, what's up with you? Hey, man, you seem far away. Usually you'd be all charming by now.
It's just, I'm scared, you know.
Scared? Of Gloria? Hi, man. Since when did Tola the charmer get cold feet around the ladies?
Yeah, Gloria. That's what I'm scared of. She's something else, isn't she?
Well, now, yeah, man. Hey, come on, man. Huh? You're scared? Hey, man, you must be joking. Oh, is there something else you are worried about, Antonia?
Flashes. I've been meaning to tell you that
Hey, man, that you are what?
I don't know how to approach you, Gloria.
Hey, man, Kazi. Oh, no, man. You have to do nothing at all. That girl is so into you. But if you need tips, I've got the perfect plan to impress Gloria's friend. First, I'll be wearing the shoes I bought this weekend. Aha! Kazi! You know, most women look at the men's shoes first. And then, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da.
Imange, this is Lupumzo.
Oh, nice to meet you, Lupumzo.
Baby, Lupumzo has asked if you'd like to babysit her son.
I don't know anything about babies.
It's okay. I'll be with you every step of the way. I just need someone in the house while I study.
So what are you studying?
Social work. Imange, you have my blessing. If you want to help Lupumzo, I'll leave you two girls to talk about that.
Okay, Mama. So, how old is your son?
Dumisani is just over 2 years old.
Aw, can he talk?
He can say a few words, but recently he started climbing on everything. He's a handful to have around. He wants to hold his own spoon and feed himself and let himself drink from his own cup. Hey! But I've also noticed he's using his left hand more than his right hand.
So, he's going to be a lefty?
I suspect so. So, does this sound like something you would like to do? I won't keep you from your own schoolwork.
Okay. I seem to have more time now.
Oh, what do you normally do after school?
Just things. I look forward to helping you with Jumisani, though. I've never really helped out with babies before.
Don't worry, Imange. I'll be with you every step of the way. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you.
Me too.
Singama Africa Kenya you Tina Singama Africa Kenya you Tina Singama Africa Kenya you Tina.
Join us again tomorrow as we sit down with an expert at 2:30 to further discuss developmental milestones, your toddler, and what to expect right here on SAFM.
Say and say. Side by side.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
Meet Maria. Meet her family, the Ramirez. One wrong step and they will have you swimming with the fishes. Meet Amadeo, a trained lawyer and member of the rival business clan. the Mateus. The two fall in love, and Maria's dreams of a happily ever after change when Madeu is murdered at their wedding. Their daughter, Jo, despises her mother's humble beginnings and will do anything to steal all of Maria's fortune. This is the world of Sweet Diva. Airs weekdays at 4:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
Football intelligence will be tested between the students, University of Johannesburg and Tshwane University of Technology. They are both eager to go an extra mile for victory. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Witness the Varsity Derby, UJ Ladies versus TUT Ladies on Sunday 20 April at 11:30 a.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
April is Freedom Month, a time to reflect, remember, and celebrate. At SAFM, we honor the journey of our nation and the resilience of its people. United in the defense of our freedom and democracy, we salute every voice that keeps the spirit of liberation alive. Stay tuned to SAFM, where the nation comes together. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, we've got two more items on our agenda today. And before we wrap up the show, we're still going to pay a tribute to South African legendary actor Don Mlangeni Nawa, who passed away. We got news of his passing just a few hours before we kicked off the show. So we're still going to just pay a little tribute and acknowledgement to his contribution towards the world of arts and culture. But for now, though, a quick catch-up with Carol Muhwerane, who is a specialist technical trainer in motoring, just to run through a checklist for your Easter long weekend. You saba well to be in your shoes. To be in your shoes and be jetting off somewhere for the long weekend. How are you, Carol? We're just trying to get Carol on the line, but we know that a lot of you are driving out from wherever you may be for this coming Easter long weekend, going to visit family, going to visit friends, going out of your respective province. So it's a good time for us to ensure that you've got all the checklists ready for your long drives ahead and you're well prepared for the journey so that you can actually enjoy the journey without worrying. Carol, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Sabawell, the people that are going to be going away for the weekend, some of us are going to be here holding fort. But as exciting as it is to get on the road, and I love a road trip, as exciting as it is to get on the road, there's a lot of things that I think South Africans need to be conscious and reminded of every time we hit the road for a destination.
Yeah, there's a lot of health that comes with your car that you need to pre-check. You need to know the condition of your vehicle before you get it ready for a long trip, especially because of like there's going to be traffic, there might be some delays. So the least you can do is just to do a below health check for your vehicle.
Yeah. When we're talking a vehicle's health check, what are we talking about here? Because a lot of people would just check the tires the night before, make sure they've got oil and water, and then they call it a day.
No. I think for this, you need like a proper doctor's visit. So it goes just beyond the tires. So obviously the tires is a good check. But outside of just the 4 tires that you're seeing, it's very important to make sure that you have a healthy spare wheel as well, because you never know what might happen, and we do know the conditions of our roads. So a spare wheel has quite become an essential part of the health check. So it's the tires, your spare wheel. Also check under the bonnet. So check all your fluids generally, not just oil and water. A vehicle does have a number of other fluids that could cause a bit of delay or whatever in your trip. So do a bonnet check. If you don't know how to do it yourself, obviously go to somebody, an expert, or even somebody at a service station or one of the operating stations for them to do that health check for you. But another thing that is very important is a visual inspection for yourself as well. So just go, you know your vehicle, you know the way it looks or how it's supposed to look, even if you're not knowing the details. So just do a little under bonnet, under the cover, checking everything, if nothing is hanging loose. Check if things are holding into place, because sometimes you get breakdowns caused by just consequential damage where something is just hanging and it rubs against something and then eventually it causes you a mishap. So just do a general check and look at what looks like it's not supposed to be there, what's hanging there. Maybe you were driving and you caught something under your undercarriage. So just check for loose components. If you're not sure of the integrity of your check, I always advise just get somebody who actually knows what to look out for, because you might miss something that might ruin your whole trip altogether. So just checking, fluids are important, tires are important. Outside of all of that, you might have a good vehicle, but you also need to be in a good position to do the trip. So people need to remember that outside of the condition of your vehicle, make sure that you also do a health check for yourself as well. So intervals of stopping, you need to take proper intervals of stopping. Nowadays we have smart cars that actually measure those things and remind you.
Yeah.
Pop up a signal to say, please slow down, you've been driving for 3 hours, maybe it's time for a break. If you don't have that, please listen to your body alarm, man. Your body will tell you when it's time to break, when you're slowly sliding off your concentration or you are holding on to your steering wheel and now it's one hand, one finger, you're slowly slipping away. So remember to also do a health check on yourself. Make sure that you also stop regularly. Don't drink if it's not necessary. Just keep yourself properly hydrated, but just avoid anything and just be conscious, aware of all the traffic and your surroundings. Because remember, when you're driving a vehicle, you're actually driving 4 other people around you. So always remember that 4-eyed principle. You're not navigating your own vehicle. You also have to navigate all the other 4 people around. So I think the health check is not just for the vehicle, but for the driver as well.
Absolutely. And I think, when you're talking about, the driver's health check as well, part of that for me is also being courteous to other drivers on the road, right? And having just that positive attitude about being on the road with other people, because a lot of it is about our attitude as drivers, whether or not we have a good trip or don't have a good trip. It's our attitude as drivers driving in community with other people.
True, and the patience as well. I think we need to also have a bit of patience on the road. I think people get a bit agitated on the road. We're like slightly impatient with each other, which causes unnecessary incidents and accidents. So, like you said, being mindful of our drivers and also even just practice a bit of stillness. I mean, a bit of patience with other drivers, because you might be rushing, but the driver's also rushing as much. So let's just slowly be patient with each other and just be mindful of everybody else around you.
Absolutely. Carol, we appreciate the quick reminder just for those checklist tips. Of course, before I let you go, just a quick emergency kit. And Niku on Michelle's show always talks about the emergency kit that you must have in your car. A little bag with a bottle of water, some Band-Aids, a jacket, things of that sort that maybe you don't think about, but that might come in very handy when you're stuck out there.
Yeah, you need to have a little kit that has a little bit of the basics. So you might have, it's not ideal to imagine that your car's going to run out of any fluid. So, but oil and water are usually the essentials, that the 2 lubricants that actually might give you issues. So maybe a little water, maybe a pint of oil if necessary, some cable ties. Sometimes you might think things get loose and then you can just tie it together. So maybe get some cable ties in there. Like you said, a jacket for yourself as well. And another thing I forgot to mention, be mindful of your ergonomics when you are driving, because remember your posture, your seat length, all of those things, your aircon, all those things actually affect your ability to actually make it for this trip. So be mindful of that as well. But just basic stuff that you can have. Also, don't forget your snacks, man. You can get a bit of snacks, get some energy here and there. But basic kids, just look out for water, for oil. Your like I said, table tires are also very necessary. Get also a rag or a lappy. But make sure, please be very careful with rags and lappies and whatnot when you're working with vehicles, because you need to try to get very cotton fabrics, or maybe try to get something close that doesn't give lint material, so it doesn't give off those lint particles. Because what happens is that a bulk of the time we become it's an emergency, so the oil has slipped up. I wipe it, only to find that those small particles can actually go into the engine and cost you roughly $1 million. Could cost you a new engine. So be very mindful of using these cloths. So find a lappy, keep a lappy in your emergency bag or whatever, but just be mindful of the type of lappy that you have, that it's not giving lint or things that could actually have very expensive consequential damage to your vehicle.
Carol, we appreciate you. Have a safe, long weekend if you yourself are hitting the road. And we hope to see you back again on the other side. That was Carol Mukhurana, who is a technical trainer in motoring. And in that little emergency bag, as much as most of our phones have torches and batteries, but you might also want to keep just a torch, an old school tiny torch, if you need to get underneath the car and have a look at what's going on there. It comes in very, very handy. We're going to take a quick break, and then we come back and we pay tribute to the late actor Don Mlangeni Nawe, who passed away at age 65. And we got confirmation of his passing from his family just a couple of hours ago today.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, or unfair blacklisting, Clientele legal plans are affordable, and you receive up to 670,000 rands worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our legal team will be your support 24 hours a day. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and a licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Rise and shine every weekday morning on Expresso.
Now, whether it's a motivational Monday or even a Health Tuesday, this is the best way to start your day.
Let our trending tech keep you ahead of the curve.
Join us online and vote in our fashion poll.
Elevate your cooking skills every Wednesday.
It's the best and morning entertainment.
So wake up with us.
6 to 9 a.m. on S3.
Cheers.
The Toffees want to convert pressure to pleasure by claiming maximum points against the reigning champions.
To put Everton level, he certainly does. No mistake. Beautifully done by Iliman Andai.
But the citizens are not interested in any outcome but victory.
And there's Grealish, and inside 2 minutes, City are in front. And Jack Grealish, his first Premier League.
This is the Premier League. Witness the mouth-watering clash between Everton FC and Manchester City FC on Saturday, 19 April at 3:30 p.m. live on S3. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Night Talk with Oliver Dixon.
When leaders need to account, we call on them. When society needs to debate, reflect, and advance, we're here to have the conversation. Join me, Oliver Dixon, on Night Talk every Monday to Thursday from 10 to 12 midnight.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, let's double back to some of our earlier conversations with you and hear some of your thoughts. I mean, we spoke about everything, gender roles, who cooks, who doesn't cook, what makes you happy. So let's hear what's on your mind.
Hey, Bridget, mina gwami ngiyapheka because people are expecting me to cook, and I just find it disturbing, this thing, because it's tiring, and every time I try to address it, ngathi kuyaliwa, And then now it becomes, it's difficult, this thing. Because Tina's Gano put Basimakaya. And I don't know why Labu put Basimakaya, they've got this type of mentality. However, recently, I've told people that Mina, I cook because naming lambile. So mangalambang peg. So these days, manga peganga won't come to assume guti. I'm not hungry. And then I was born because I incatele man. Yes, I'm fighting this thing. I'm communicating it, and it's just not working. Thanks, Spongy.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Bridget. Good health in my family makes me very happy. With money, I know of a certain guy from Limpopo. He had farms, he had all the money in the world, but he had, I think it was leukemia, so he ended up committing suicide. So for me, happiness is brought about by my family and good health. Letsolo, East London.
Love it for you, Litswalo in East London. Love it for you. Bongi batini, the youth batu ketile. So now you can't send them back to the rurals. Hey, kanumuntu wasemakhaya. Umkhetile bongi, umkhetile. Askis. But yeah, it's always lovely to hear what's on your mind and to hear some of your contributions. As we prepare to wrap up the show, we're sending our love and prayers to the Mlangeni Nawa family who lost Bradon this morning. And he's the former Isidingo actor, Udon Mlangeni Nawe. He passed away at age 65. He's a veteran of the industry, was a veteran of the industry, and a lot of people will obviously have fond memories of him in his role as Ulakasha on Velapi. And no, it wasn't Velap, was it? No, it was Good is Nice. It was Good is Nice, yes. His role as Rakasha in Good is Nice. And of course, he was Prazeb, Zebedia, Zebi. On Isidingo. Oh man, what an actor, what a loss, what a giant in the industry, and his contributions are just recognized beyond his work. So we thought we'll let's rewind back to some of his more iconic scenes.
Ngiyathemba nebank balance yakho ifit njengawe ne khona namasentshana akoloda uMpumalanga Bottle Store.
Imali lawo masentshana sibali.
Hawu sibala ungayikhathazi. Ngazikhathazi sibala sibone. Yep, yeah, 87.52 sibali. Sibali uyazi nawe money is my business sibali. Ngisebenza ngemali. Manje tshela mina uzokhokha noma uzoxoxa nomemeza.
No, Sibali, ngiyazi ukuthi imali yithesho lakho Sibali. Bengicela ukuthi uhlale phansi Sibali ngoba ke ukhona imibuzo nje emncanyana Sibali engifuna ukubuza mayelana nemali Sibali. Ukuthi mhlambe ungaba usizo yabona Sibali.
Oh sure Sibali, ayikulungile kodwa singaqala kule Sibali.
Oh no, for sure Sibali. Hayi, leya konkinga leyo Sibali. 87 Nice Sibali. Ishintshi yawo ayinandaba Sibali.
Oh man, when TV was TV back in the day, that is a scene from Good is Nice. Of course, both those gentlemen, unfortunately, having passed away now, Joe Mafela as well as Ubradon Mlangeni Nawa, who was Ulakash on Good is Nice. Our love, our prayers, and our condolences go out to his family, his friends, and of course his colleagues in the industry. That is where we leave it for today. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again tomorrow.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories at 3. Mabuyane concerned over U.S. tariffs imposed on South Africa, and a German doctor charged with the murder of his 15 patients. For SAFM News, I am Ondelambana, and a very good afternoon. Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane has raised concerns over the controversial U.S. tariffs imposed on South Africa. Trump last week imposed a 30% duty on all goods imported from South Africa. Mabuyane says the U.S. tariffs are posing a threat on the province's automotive sector. He raised the issue as he briefed President Cyril Ramaphosa and other government ministers while on a 2-day oversight visit to the Eastern Cape. Mabuyane says he's beginning to receive distressing calls from the sector.
This issue of tariffs, Mr. President, is really going to be a serious pinch from where we are seated. I know this morning I had a worrying message from the CEO of Mercedes-Benz for a meeting that he would want to have, and couldn't hide it, that the issue is about tariffs and how do we look at it from that point. So clearly it's an issue that collectively as a country we must begin to think hard, as we are doing the same with regard to health, with the withdrawal of the support that we've been having from PEFA and others.
Deputy Minister of Home Affairs Njabulo Nzuza says action will be taken against companies that hire undocumented foreign nationals. Nzuza, together with the Deputy Minister of Labour, Jomosi